Hello everyone, Neil back once again with another film review for you. And today I'm going to be taking a look at Asteroid City from director Wes Anderson. And I have decided to make this review a non-spoiler and then score it and then spoil it review. So, if you don't want it spoiled, just watch until I put up the score on the screen. You can fast forward to that point right now if you want to. If you just want to know my score, go for it. I don't care. But either way, when you get to the score, yeah, you can stop it if you want. But after that, I will be spoiling it. So just a heads up, okay? So I'll let you know when I'm going to spoil it. I'll put up the spoiler alert warning as well. So, director Wes Anderson, I mean, he's known for making these movies for like 25 years now, containing entertaining, if somewhat obnoxious characters, but they're still likable characters, you know, and they seem very content in life, but many of them are actually hiding this undercurrent of melancholy, you know, this just complete dissatisfaction with everything, even if they seem like they have everything, you know. So it's a little bit of selfishness, you know, in a lot of these characters. But that's always fun. That's always entertaining. So this is the 11th film for Mr. Anderson, and it is a story within a story, and it tells the history of this play called Asteroid City, and it was written by this playwright who's played by Edward Norton in these black and white segments. So we get to see the history of the play in black and white in 4:3, and then we get to watch the actual play in full frame, in full color, with all these, very recognizable faces, of course. But they all do a great job, and the movie looks gorgeous. It looks beautiful when they actually do the play, the colorized version of it there. And it goes back and forth between the beautiful black and white and the gorgeous coloring, in the colorized play. So, Asteroid City, this is where they test nuclear bombs not too far away from where people stay. I mean, it's almost like a Fallout game, you know. But it's not too far away from where people have come to this motel that is hosting a stargazing convention in the 1950s. It's a very futuristic version of the 1950s, so it's very kind of, sci-fi pulp magazine kind of, 1950s. There's these like real ray guns that are being made by kids and stuff, and it's, interesting. Hoping to see something special in the stars, of course, are all these genius kids that are there, and they're just like, wow, fascinated with, the stars and the history. They want to talk to the scientists. One of them's played by Tilda Swinton, and it's wonderful. All the young characters in this movie are quite good, but I also got to mention that Asteroid City is named because it's got an asteroid that fell there many, many years ago. Eventually in the story, something amazing and unusual certainly does happen, and that changes the focus of this play. And Jeffrey Wright's army general, he's in charge and he's got a lot to deal with. So that's all I'm going to say about this story, okay? I don't want to go too far with my non-spoiler portion here. The story, though, I mean, it can seem fairly aimless at times. At first, we're like, where's this going, I mean, even though the cast is so good that we tend to forget, that we really don't know where we're going with this. And that can be a good thing, too, to be unpredictable, Sometimes movies that are unpredictable can turn out to be a wonderful thing. So it's interesting, characters in this movie, in this play, they tell, well, in the play and behind the scenes as well, I mean, they tell stories that are pretty tragic, really, but handled with a delicate comedy, a deadpan, wry kind of comedy. And one good example is Tom Hanks's character being this grieving father and grandfather to 4 children of Schwartzman's character, who's named Augie, the war photographer. Tom Hanks's character admits that he hates Augie, despite everything. And it's just like, everything that's going on is like, yes, I do hate you. It's just, I just found that very, very funny in the way that it was delivered by both actors. Was just fantastic. And it really seemed like almost every actor in Hollywood wanted to work on this movie, right? I mean, it does boast a huge cast of names. Certainly Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson, Bryan Cranston, Jeffrey Wright. They're all standouts here. Everybody's perfectly cast. We got Maya Hawke in there as this leader of these kids, this religious camp, like, of kids and stuff. Great stuff. Just great characters and people to laugh with and at the same time. So yeah, everybody here is perfectly cast in their roles, especially Bryan Cranston as well, narrating, the story, and also Steve Carell playing the hotel or motel, I guess it is. It's just this tiny little motel manager. And he's making it work for some guests, like Stephen Park or Liev Schreiber, guys like that, where it's they're very disappointed in the camp because it is pretty pathetic. But my question is, how invested are people, audiences, who haven't seen many or none of Wes Anderson's previous films? How does it hit them? This would be fascinating to me, to see, because they may not get it. They may find it boring because they don't really get where the story is going and why the characters are doing what they do. But personally for me, I loved a lot of his movies. I loved Grand Budapest Hotel, and I love everything going back to Rushmore and Bottle Rocket and all that stuff. It's great, But new audiences, I don't know if they'll get, the whole kind of satire on the human emotional behavior and how there's just so many rich characters for this all-star cast to play, and the deadpan comedy works, so well here. It's not a laugh-out-loud comedy or anything, so, if you go to the theater, don't expect people to be rolling in the aisles or anything, but you will see them smiling and laughing frequently, and just nodding their heads and going, oh man, like crazy characters, That's what you should expect, because that's what it delivers. I felt that the flirting between Schwartzman's Augie and Johansson's movie star Midge, are probably the most memorable moments that stand out in the film, along with Cranston telling the story of how this play was constructed. But, again, Asteroid City it's not for everybody. The characters, it just may not... it may not appeal to everybody. It may just be too weird. And there may be too many characters to keep track of as well. It does seem a little overstuffed, like an overstuffed pizza pop or something, but no, everybody fits in their role just perfectly, like Tetris. Everyone, everything in its right place. Everything just seems so perfectly done, and everyone's perfectly cast. Nobody has too little or too much screen time. It's almost like two movies in one. It's very meta as well. It's it's kind of like a Wes Anderson take on a Wes Anderson film. If that makes sense. Does that make Wes Anderson the playwright character? For me, of course, I knew what to expect, something a little different than your typical summer movie with these self-serving characters, many of whom are quite unforgettable. I'm still thinking about it, and I want to see it again. There could be some serious Oscar nominations for the acting and other things next year, perhaps. You never know. But some audiences, they may think, what was the point of that, But to me, I think deconstructing the story of how a play came together while getting to also watch that play, with a wide cast of memorable characters, beautiful art direction and cinematography, great editing and direction. That was the point for me, Sure, the ending is a bit of a bummer, but I understood what they did, and I really, really enjoyed going to the theater for this movie and seeing it with a full-packed audience. It was a wonderful experience. I'm going to give Asteroid City an 8.5 out of 10. All right, now on to the spoilers. Spoilers, spoiler alert. All right, you've been warned, so you can stop the video now if you haven't seen the movie. If you like I said, you could skip right to the score too. I don't really care. Just doing these reviews for fun, they're just for me. But I do appreciate you guys, support and comments as well. I love your comments. All right, so the amazing thing that happens in this movie. Time to give that away, okay? An alien comes down to visit Asteroid City, and it takes the asteroid, and it leaves. It takes off. And it's this wonderful stop-motion animated sequence, like Isle of Dogs or Fantastic Mr. Fox, It's the same kind of animation, I think. And it's just the one character, just this skinny black alien. And all the human characters, when this is happening, and the aliens right next to them, staring at them with these giant eyes, none of the characters move except for Augie, who takes a picture of the alien, and the alien doesn't seem to mind this. And well, of course, after the alien leaves, the next day, the discovery of the alien means that everyone in Asteroid City is now under lockdown and not able to leave for fear that they may profit off their knowledge. So one kid does get the word out, and he gets in trouble, and the alien does actually return later. He does return later, and he returns the asteroid. I guess he's done with it, and it didn't mean much to him or something. He's done with its analysis. Whatever he did with it, we don't know. But yeah, this dark, bug-eyed alien we later see behind the scenes is actually played by Jeff Goldblum, and he's credited as the alien, in the black and white backstage segments. And of course, Goldblum is known for his wide eyes, so again, perfect casting. After flirting with each other from being stationed directly across from one another, Augie and Midge hook up, and yes, there is this one nude scene with Midge with a body double. Clearly, I mean, Johansson is it's not her body, but her performance in this film is very, very charismatic. She's really good as this movie star, and Schwartzman is equally as excellent, I think, as this war photographer who's been injured, and he's got 4 kids, and he's got a pipe and a chin strap beard, and there's also this possible romance between his son Woodrow and Midge's daughter as well, so there's also that going on there. You may wonder where Margot Robbie is in this film. Well, they actually saved her for the end, at least the end of the black and white scenes, and she's this actress whose scenes were cut from Asteroid City, the play, and now she's in the play across from it, and she can talk to people in Asteroid City. Oh yeah, I remember you. It's like it's this little conversation. I really loved this light little scene that she's in. It's just the one scene that she's in near the end of the film. It looks like they're on Broadway. I think it's Broadway, but whatever the case, it looks fantastic. The art direction's beautiful, whether it's black and white or in color. Either way, wonderful stuff. We also learn of the playwright's death. That was played by Edward Norton. That he dies in a car accident. That was kind of a downer, kind of a downbeat way to end that part of the story, but an appropriate one, I guess. The film and the play end with Augie's family driving away after Midge leaves Augie her address, so she's still interested in him. And his son Woodrow is awarded the funding at the convention, so yeah, good for him. And the family winds up just quietly driving away, and they drive away into what looks like a matte painting, but they just keep going and going, and I guess through computer animation it can look like they're just going forever. So it's a nice shot. So, again, not for everybody. You may or may not like these characters and stories. It may not be your cup of tea, and there's nothing wrong with that, But the more I think about it, the more I love this film. It's really a beautiful mix of deadpan humor and very, very interesting, quirky, weird story of this play, and the making of that play. And the movie's so crazy, meta in some ways, that there's even this scene where Bryan Cranston, the narrator, shows up in the wrong part of the movie. He shows up in the colored play of Asteroid City when it wasn't his cue to be there. I just thought that was hilarious. He's like, "Am I in this? Am I in this scene?" Something like that. So funny. So yeah, clearly this movie worked for me. It's another great film from Wes Anderson. I highly encourage people to seek out his library of films and watch the most highly recommended bunch of those ones first and get into it, because Wes Anderson, it might be a whole different kind of comedy for you. It might be like discovering a whole different way of watching movies. And I love him. I think he's brilliant. I highly recommend it. And again, yeah, that's an 8.5 out of 10. So let me know what you thought about this movie in the comments below when you get a chance to see it, either at the theater or later on, and at home, whatever the case may be. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this review. This is Neil, and until next time, peace.